2, 1. Before I move on to the divergent plate boundaries, I would like for you guys to look at Google Maps. And you're welcome to open up your own screen on this if you'd like, but don't spend a ton of time on this, like only a few minutes, because you have other videos you have to watch too. And when you go to Google Maps, if you click on where it says the satellite view, it's actually pretty awesome because we can start seeing the different features on Earth. And you can see them very clearly. You can see the different elevations. It's actually pretty cool. You can even see, if you look up here, you even see trenches, right? And that's really cool to be able to see. But just to give you like a real life example of the transform plate boundaries, we look kind of near the San Andreas Fault, which is in California. And if you kind of click and drag the screen, you can kind of see different areas. One thing we can also do, so this is looking at the location of where like the San Andreas Fault is. So we have a lot of earthquakes that occur in this area. So this means we would have two different plate boundaries. You know, one plate is going to be moving up, one's going to be moving down. Tomorrow, you guys will actually predict the direction which plates are moving. So we can kind of focus more on that tomorrow. But one thing that's kind of cool, and again, I don't want you just playing around with this, but I know you're going to be excited about it, is if you click and hold this one, we can actually see what it's going to be like in the areas, if my computer will load, because it's being a little slow. But let's just kind of get somewhere, maybe generally, I don't know, maybe roughly in this area, and let's just kind of see what we get, right? So it'll actually bring you to what it looks like in that area. And what's really cool about that is even though you guys cannot travel to these places, you can actually look at what features are there. So you won't be able to do this for when you're writing your claim evidence reasoning. We can even see some people. But you can see like there's mountains in this area, right? You can see, you know, it's not just like a flat area, but this is in general kind of the location of the San Andreas Fault. I could probably get an image that's a little bigger, right? So we could, I don't know, you can't go into the oceans, but it's still pretty cool. Let's go ahead and see if we can zoom back out. And then the next place I'm going to take you guys is looking at the divergent plate boundaries. So this is going to be like the mid-ocean ridge. So if we kind of scroll to the general area of where we find the mid-ocean ridge, which you can kind of see all these different rifts. So these are all like the different cracks in the Earth's surface that, you know, get filled with that magma. We can't click in, or at least I don't think we can drag a person here. I doubt they're going to be able to allow us to see, unfortunately. But I mean, I wonder if we zoom in, again, how much detail. Okay, so you can't really zoom in too much. It's not like we can just zoom into the oceans, but it would be pretty sweet if we could. And it would be pretty sweet if we could actually see what it's like right along that mid-ocean ridge. Oops, let me zoom back out. But this is where we're going to have that new ocean core being created along the mid-ocean ridge, and you can see that huge crack, well, in quotations, crack that kind of creates that mid-ocean ridge. This is going to be looking at the divergent plate boundaries, and I'm going to have you guys do a similar thing with your worksheets. So if you go back to yours, so you should have the information typed in there, you should have some kind of a picture. We're going to look at the divergent, and this one's just going to be oceanic to oceanic, so this is just like the mid-ocean ridge. And this is the information I need you guys to fill in there. We've looked at this idea of seafloor spreading already. We know that as those two plates are moving away from each other, that magma is going to, I mean, as they're moving away from each other, they're going to kind of create like that crack in the Earth's surface. The magma is immediately going to fill in, it's going to rise to kind of fill in the spaces, in quotations, creating new plate material. That's important for later on. But we also start seeing features like volcanoes. We see features like the mountains, right? Or we can call them ridges if we're looking at in the oceans. So these are kind of the different types of things we get. So go ahead and pause the screen and complete this information and fill this in here. Same type of idea. You can do the drawing tab, so you can insert a drawing, or if you're doing it by hand, it's probably easier. But for this one, make sure that when you guys do the drawings and you're creating the plates, you have to have, I don't know if they're gonna, if you can find something that will represent this, but we have to have something that kind of points up to represent the mountains, right? And if I show you what I'm talking about, I mean this, So I want you guys putting red circles in your drawings to represent volcanoes. I want you to put just like what we did on the driving question board, put the kind of what it makes it look like a mountain, like this kind of angled arrow up along the rift. So then that way, it's showing that mountains are being created. This stuff is going to help you tremendously when it comes to your guys' next quiz. So go ahead and fill this out. Sorry, I'm just going to get out of that. And then the next idea is looking at kind of the Play-Doh plates, because this is what you guys will be doing tomorrow. Now, I am only going to give you one color for the Play-Doh plates because we're just looking at, again, the magma is simply just, in quotations, that new plate material. So that's why we can just technically keep it the same color. But I wanted to do a different color so you guys could kind of see it as like the magma. So we have one plate moving in this direction, one plate moving in that direction. Underneath the surface or underneath those plates, we have the magma. As soon as those plates move away from each other, that magma is going to fill in the space. That's going to create the new ocean floor. And then this is just kind of, because again, I wanted to represent it as just part of the plates, that new ocean floor. So that's why I filled it in with red. And then this would be like the most recent magma that's seeping through, like the volcanoes and that mountain that's getting created. I do have another divergent one that I'll be showing you guys next.